Hey everyone, and welcome back for installment number 2 of Famous, Infamous, and Obscure. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite Led Zeppelin albums, Physical Graffiti, released February 24th of 1975, and it is a double LP. There's 2 discs, and what makes this album interesting is that it's a studio album, but it's also, you could call it a compilation, as when they wrapped up recording, they had enough material for 3 sides of the album. So it would have left one of the sides blank. What the band decided to do was to pull out some of the old tapes from the previous recording sessions for Led Zeppelin 3, 4, and Houses of the Holy, and include those tracks that were left off of those albums on this one. Recording for the album actually began in November of 1973 with what would become Kashmir. It was just an instrumental at the time. Recording, though, quickly stopped. John Paul Jones had become very disillusioned with the band and also with recording and wanted to quit. The manager, he told John, let's take off the rest of the year, let you get your head clear, and we'll come back to recording in the beginning of 74. That actually worked out. The band used their recording time, since they had already paid for recording time at the studio at Headley Grange, to allow Bad Company to record their first album. Also, this is the first album on Led Zeppelin's label Swan Song, and Bad Company was the first band that Led Zeppelin had signed to Swan Song. When they resumed recording, as I said, they realized they only had enough material for 3 sides of the album, so they added in songs from their previous 3 albums, 3, 4, and Houses of the Holy. This honestly makes the sound quality of the album, some of the songs sound really, but it kind of brings out a certain magic to the album, a certain feel, because it's a very raw sound. I mean, Led Zeppelin's pretty raw to begin with, but it almost sounds like you're listening to demos on this album, more than a really tight, brought together album. Really heavily produced. It is definitely not heavily produced. It's basic. It almost sounds like a live album, but still, it's really amazing. Now, something else interesting about this album is they had planned to release it at the end of the year in 74, because they wrapped up recording late spring, early summer of 74. However, the designer of the cover, Peter Corison, his design, it's a really unique design. Here, I'll show you. In that it's a die-cut album cover, and it's this apartment complex. You have this first layer inner sleeve that has the name of the album on it, but then as the inner sleeves, you can see there's different pictures and stuff on the windows, different people, different faces. Typical Led Zeppelin weirdness. Still really cool, though. Really cool design, but that hang-up in production of the album cover delayed the release until February 24th of 75. The album itself, the music, I mean, it goes everywhere from hard rock to Eastern influence with Kashmir, funk-styled stuff with Trampled Underfoot, love ballads, blues rock, acoustic instrumentals, country rock. They kind of cover the whole gamut of what their influences slash capabilities slash whatever you want to call it. They just kind of went all in on this album. And like I said, they included songs that had been intended for previous albums, such as, I'm probably going to say this way wrong, I don't speak English island dialect, Bron-Yr-Aur, something like that. It was intended for Led Zeppelin 3, didn't make it on there. Down by the Seaside was intended for Led Zeppelin 4. Night Flight intended for Led Zeppelin 4. Boogie with Stu was intended for Led Zeppelin 4. Black Country Woman for Houses of the Holy. It was left off because there was an airplane that flew overhead. The Rover, it was first recorded in 1970, intended for Led Zeppelin 3. Then it was re-recorded again in 72, and they meant to put it on Houses of the Holy, but it was left off due to Dancing Days sounded similar to it, so it ended up on Physical Graffiti. Now, the album itself was critically acclaimed. The song Kashmir is a classic song. Everyone knows the history of Kashmir. And how even if you don't know it's Led Zeppelin, everyone has heard that song. In the album itself, it's for being kind of pieced together and recorded at a time when Led Zeppelin the cracks were starting to show in the group and tensions were high. It's a really solid album, and like I said, it's one of my favorites. Typically, when bands are really stressed or under stress, they really produce some of their best music, in my opinion. And this is one of those examples. Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti. Highly recommend it. This is one you're interested in. Shoot me a message, let me know. Pretty sure I also have a copy of this in the bin at Sun Moon Apparel. Stop by there, check that place out. It's super awesome. One of my wife's go-to for clothing, incense, other things. It's really awesome shop. But yeah, Physical Graffiti. An album that almost wasn't. An album that almost broke up the band Led Zeppelin. So if you haven't heard it, check it out. Hey, peace out, everyone. I'll see you next time.